designers were all located in the Chicagoland area. And in 2020, the decision was made to take manufacturing from Lakewood, New Jersey, and bring it to Chicago so that we could have manufacturing and design all under one roof. And that helps cohesiveness of our team. And in the event we need to make a change, we don't have to fly somebody out to New Jersey to look at a game on the line or try to use FaceTime. The designers or the engineers can come right out into the factory and get a better look as to what's going on during the manufacturing process. Each one of those parts have to be inspected by somebody to make sure that they've passed inspection and that the quality part can be installed and used in our pinball machine. In the off chance that something comes in and it's not to spec, we catch it here so that it goes back to our vendor so that that can be corrected. Overwhelmingly, something passes inspection and it gets stored in the back here, which is in our inventory system, which goes the whole back of the building behind this cage. And when you're here today, you'll probably see Avatar LE, which is our newest release, which is currently on the line. And we're also filling some additional Elton John Collector Edition orders, so you'll see 2 games that'll be on our lines today. Okay. When we go to the right over here, you'll see our Playfield racks. We've got the lower Playfields for Avatar LE, the crab suit Playfield, and the pop bumper Playfield, and then the full Playfield.
Nice. Qué bonito, manches.
Beautiful.
So just real quickly, with the limited edition Playfields on Avatar, we've infused UV reactive blue inks. So when the UV lights hit the Playfield on the limited edition, the blue is UV reactive and it creates a bioluminescence effect that you would see and be familiar with in the movie. On our collector edition, we've offered further enhancements by implementing red and green as well as the blue, so you have a little bit more of a bioluminescence experience with the collector edition. But both Playfields that you see, LE and the CE, they offer the same play experience. There's not a difference mechanically on those Playfields. Our pinball machine cabinets, they come in blank. It's our job here to populate those cabinets, so we have a cabinet line set up. On your left here, you'll notice we have some of these ready to go where we've already installed our rad tails and inner art blades. These are a more robust version of a decal. You notice they're a lot thicker. The artwork is printed underneath the protectant so that you don't have to worry about flipper button wear. It's very easy for us to install these because you have a bubble-free and a crease-free, wrinkle-free experience. They install quickly. They do cost more, but in the long run, it's worth it. If you have a customer or your personal game gets dinged, it's easy to pull this panel off with the adhesive and pop a new panel back on instead of having to scrape off an old decal and use a hot glue gun and have to deal with all that. These are really, really easy. You'll notice this looks a little like a dull finish. There's a protective layer that peels off, and if you see like on top of here, you'll see the more of the gloss finish that you'll get on the radicals. Typically we wouldn't be able to come down here, but we can come through here a little bit because we don't have assembly taking place. This is where we're installing your power supply, your speaker, your transformer, your shaker motor, your wire harness. All this gets installed on each step of the process going down this conveyor belt. You'll also notice on the right hand side it's going to be the same thing with the back boxes. The back boxes come in blank and it's our job to populate those. A fun fact, if you look through this area right here on that cage that says Avatar, you'll see these metal plates that have components installed. For every game that we build at Jersey Jack Pinball, we also have to assemble a PC. So for instance, if we sell 5,000 of one title, we've also built 5,000 PCs to go into those games. Those PC components mount on that back plate. We're able to drop the whole plate inside to the cabinet before we install the speakers, your knocker, which is a nice unique feature to have nowadays in modern pinball, and then the 27-inch LCD panel goes in there as well as the camera. So it's just real easy for us to kind of pop those components in place. And for serviceability too, it's easy to be able to pull that screen out. If you need to get access to that motherboard for whatever reason, or that hard drive, you can certainly do that.
The PCs here?
We make the PCs here. So the PCs come in parts, like a motherboard, solid state drive, all that comes in separate. And then, yeah, we assemble that on that back panel.
And the programming of the software inside the hard drive, how do you do the copies?
We just do hard drive copier, burner, and we reburn the hard drives, and they go back right into the games.
Several hard drive and
Yeah, we have like burners, I don't know how many we do at a time, maybe 20 at a time, and yep, yep. We're going to go to the Playfield assembly line in a second, but first I wanted to show you how we test Playfields here when they're done. And that's in our Playfield testing area. We have 3 test stations for Playfields. When a Playfield goes down the assembly line, we can build it up, but we haven't had a chance to test it yet, and this allows us to do that. We hook it up to our back box, and it's running our system as you would see at home, and we can check the matrix. We check all the switches, we check all the mechs to make sure they're functioning properly. And it's a lot easier for us to make an adjustment in this rotisserie outside of the cabinet instead of having to try to do that after you've dropped the Playfield into a cabinet. So this is where we're able to test everything. That box up there allows the tester to activate the flipper buttons you see on the lower end there. And then we have it mapped to different areas where we can fire off the mechs. This area is interesting because on your left, we have all the Playfield assembly, and on the right, we have our sub-assembly lines. And the sub-assemblies are multiple components that make up more complicated, robust mechs that then get passed off to be installed on the line. So while the Playfield's coming down the line, the sub-assemblies are being built. If you look at each station, Station 1, Station 2, Station 3, you see a diagram backboard, and that diagram shows the team member at that station what parts are going on that Playfield, and on the left it shows what hardware is being used. You'll also notice the tools that are coming from top of the frame right there. Those are all they're all calibrated to make sure that everything is properly and consistently torqued throughout the build.
Right. So the torque of the gun matches the torque of the screw. So you don't need to read it. You just need to match colors. Red with red, green with green.
If we wanted to put another game on the line, for instance, let's say we wanted to go back to make some Elton John Platinum editions, we do what's called a pick. And that's a number of games that we want to make. We go to the stock room, we pull the parts for that number, and then we're able to take this line down, set up the new line for Elton John Platinum, and we can do all that within a day. So for instance, if you were to come in the morning and you would see Avatar LEs on the assembly lines, before you left for that day, you could see Guns N' Roses or Elton John Platinum editions coming down the line, which is nice and efficient. If you were here 6 months ago, you wouldn't recognize this factory because we've been just completely overhauling it. The whole thing's been reorganized for efficiency of our builds and our throughput. Everything's increased. A typical game from start to finish takes about 19 to 21 labor hours. So that's about how long it takes for us to build a pinball machine up.
How long you said?
About 19 to 21 hours is the average. Could be a little more, could be a little less. On this side we have the Elu sculpt, which comes from McFarlane Toys on the Avatar LE. And on down here we have the Banshee sculpts that also come from McFarlane Toys.
Yeah. How many colors?
Yeah, there's 6. You notice these Banshees are different colors. There's 6 different color Banshees, and it's randomized, so you're not sure which one you're going to get. So I recommend to try to buy 10 pinball machines, and then you should probably have all the colors of them. First lower Playfield, and then that second lower, the crab suit Playfield. You can see how we build this whole thing as one unit. This crab suit lower, and then we're able to drop this whole thing right into the game. But it's pretty cool because it's like a little mini pinball machine within itself, you know. And then we're able to drop it in. The limited edition is Mirko, and then the collector edition is a local company called Vader.
Okay.
They make pinball playfields. They've got a good reputation for pinball playfields locally.
The Playfield for spooky pinball.
Yeah, they do
This
spooky
company, right?
playfields.
Yes.
Yep. And just the reason being, because we're using 3 UV inks on that, it's complicated. We have to match the wavelengths of the ink with the lights. We wanted to keep that domestic so that we could roll over there and see what's going on with production without having to go to Germany and back. So it just made sense. So yeah, they're a new partner. Well, it'll have the same amount of UV LEDs, but you'll have 2 more inks that will light up. The limited edition, the blue inks light up. But on the collector edition, the blue ink lights up, the red ink lights up, and the green ink lights up. Behind you is our workshop. So if you're a designer, this is where you're fabricating all your parts for the pinball machine before they go to like production parts. In the corner, that's where we could like cut Playfields, white woods. We have the bandsaw. There's a machine over there that allows us to vacuum form ramps if we want to do that. We could do wire forms here. We can bend metal. We can cut through a 1/4-inch steel. We can powder coat here. Essentially, you could fabricate all the parts for pinball machine in-house here, and then, you know, because we work off of CAD drawings, and then once we have the part correct, because you know how every little curve makes a difference on the ball pad, when we test it on the whitewoods and they're good, we send it out to a vendor and they make those parts. That's our laser machine, that big box, so that's where we can throw metal in there and it can cut it up. In fact, like if you see over here, like these are metal sheets that we can cut through. You know, when you're watching TV and you're watching shows about manufacturing and building, like how it's made, you see a lot of robots, you see a lot of automation. I think one of the things to really celebrate is how handcrafted pinball products are. At Jersey Jack Pinball, when you're here, there's not hardly any automation. There are no robots. They're all human beings. You know, you might have 50, 60 people all involved in crafting together a pinball machine. It makes a very personal machine, in my opinion. So I think that Jersey Jack Pinball, handcrafted in the United States, is something that we're very, very proud of. Okay, when we come down the line here, this is the area where like final gameplay testing would take place. And because we've tested the cabinet over there, we tested the back box over there, we tested the playfield over there, but now we're going to test it all together, right? So we've built a game, and it looks like a pinball machine. And these guys, they're not just playing the game; they're testing all the shots. Again, they're going through the matrix to make sure all the switches are working. We're making sure that the mechs are working properly, and the designers will come out and they'll test games as well, because the designer knows exactly how a ball is supposed to play. So, and you know how pinball can be, a small adjustment on something can make a big impact on play. So by the time a game leaves here, it's been tested thoroughly, it's shooting how it's supposed to. There's a nice check and balance system here before it goes into a box. And obviously the idea is to give you the best shot of having the best playing game when you open the game at your house without having to do hopefully not any adjustments. And shipping, things happen, things get knocked around, and it's not uncommon to have to do some adjustments, but you know, we do everything we can to try to prevent any of that from the home side. Now, if you run into an issue though, we've got excellent customer service too. So our customer service team right now, like, turnaround time is super quick. So if you have an issue, you know that you can contact support and we'll get you guys taken care of. And then after they get tested, they kind of wheel down there in those tilt tables, flip the game upright, we box them up. We've got about 60 global distributors now, and you guys know we have international distributors, we have domestic distributors. Games that ship on the water might be out there for like a month in a container if there aren't any backups, but it's not uncommon for distributors to air freight or to use local, you know, trucking, LTL, FedEx, that sort of thing.